Hello guys, welcome back to Kolbenkraft. In today's video, we'll be discussing something about traction. Now I know some of you guys must be thinking traction. There's nothing to talk about traction. It's basically the grip between the road surface and the tire surface. Well, yeah, in layman's term that can be said, but like if you are an engineer, that doesn't go well with the definition of traction. Today in this video, I'll be talking about static and dynamic traction. So now here's something new. We have already heard about the word traction, but we might have hardly heard about static and dynamic traction. So firstly, I would like to start with the road surface. Now, when we see a tire rolling on the road surface, when we see a road surface which is smooth, it's not actually smooth at micro level. I'll show you how the traction varies from surface to surface. At micro level, if we zoom this thing out, the road surface is like it has some roughness. Now what happens is, due to the property of the rubber tends to deform, and it is kind of the interlocking mechanism between the road surface and the tire surface. Obviously this happens at a very micro level, so it's not visible to the naked eye, but yeah, this is basically what the traction means. It's the interlocking between the road surface and the tire surface. Well, so here's the basic definition of the traction, basic meaning of the traction. But now coming to static and dynamic traction. So yeah, I have this supercar which is running on a flat road. So let's assume that this is rear driven car, rear wheel driven car. Okay, so all the power, yeah, obviously all the power will be transferred to the rear wheels. There is no power that is transferred to the front wheels. So the traction between the front wheels, that is the non-driven wheels, and the road surface is the static traction, whereas the traction between the road surface and the wheels which are driven wheels, that is the drive wheels, is the dynamic traction. So here arises one confusion. Till now we all thought that traction is the same in all the wheels, between all the wheels and the road surfaces. Well, in actual case, that's not the true thing. To make it more understandable, let us assume a very good example. As kids, almost all of us rode a bicycle. So now it must have happened that yeah, we are having fun, we are riding a bicycle on a road, and suddenly we come across a patch of sand, that is a few grains lying on the road surface. So what happens? We approach the we approach the patch of sand. The first tire passes over it very smoothly without any problem. But when the rear wheels, but when the rear wheel travels over it, we tend to lose some stability. Some traction is lost. So now, why does this happen? Well, this is because of the static and the static traction, the dynamic traction. So this is now to understand it more clearly, we'll be looking onto the microscopic roughness of the road again. So we'll be going back to the previous image. So during static traction, the wheel just simply rolls over the road surface. There is no like there's there just it's just a simple rolling motion over the road surface. Whereas if we tend to look over the uh, if we tend to look over the dynamic traction, that is which acts on the driven wheels, the drive wheels, between the okay, there is this deformation, but between this deformation there is this uh, grains of sand which we had taken as an example in the previous image. Yeah, these are the grain sections. Okay, so now what happens is the tire surface tends to exert force, like okay, when the tire is rolling like in this anti-clockwise direction, there's this backward force that acts that the tire exerts on the road surface. So this is the basic difference I can say, that there is this force, external force, in dynamic traction, whereas in static traction there is no such kind of force. There is just the rolling motion, and there is no the what do you say? No other forces that acts on the between the road surface and the tire surface. Yeah. So back to the dynamic traction. When it exerts the force, it what happens is it's not exactly exerting the force on the road surface, but on the grains of the sand. As a result, the as a result in practical case, the wheel just we can say the wheel just slides over the road surface because of these grains. As the grains roll, yeah, naturally these wheels just tend to slide over the road surface, and the friction is lost, stability is lost. So what we can say from here, that in static friction, it just rolls, or it just the wheel, the tire just rolls over the road surface. In dynamic traction, there is some more external force that acts between the road surface and the road surface and the tire surface. So this is the basic difference, how the static and the dynamic traction come into existence. But now, do you know that this is also like the factor which plays an important role over here is the ignition. That is the time interval the time interval of ignition between different cylinders. We'll be covering that in the next video. So if you have any doubt or any query, just leave them in the comment section below. Yeah, and I hope this was quite a clear explanation between static and dynamic traction. Like I said, in the next video we'll be looking on how the ignition timing intervals between cylinders affect this traction.